Hello and welcome to KDTV.com and the Maria Sanchez Show. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate your eyes. I am Maria Sanchez, the host here at KDTV.com. And in studio we have with us District Attorney Ventura County, Greg Totten. Greg, welcome to the program.
Pleasure
Thank you
to
so
be
much
here.
for
Thank
taking
you.
the time to be with us. And we're going to get into what is the district attorney and what does the district attorney do with the county of Ventura specifically. But if you don't mind, Greg, I'd like to speak to you first to let our viewers know, how did you get here? What's your backstory?
Well, I've been a prosecutor now for 28 years. I went to law school at Pepperdine, just a little bit down the road in Los Angeles County, and while I was at Pepperdine, I wound up clerking for someone who became a dear friend of mine in the district attorney's office, Pete Casouras. He was a longtime homicide prosecutor, and that experience was so terrific that I ultimately applied for and was hired as a deputy district attorney. Since joining the office back in 1982, I've done just about everything you can do as a prosecutor, from handling traffic violation cases to a death penalty murder case. I've also been an administrator, kind of came up through the ranks in the office as a supervisor. Ultimately, I was the chief assistant district attorney, and then when Mike Bradbury, my predecessor, decided to retire, I ran to replace him and was elected in 2002. So I'm now in my 8th year as district attorney, and I was just re-elected to a 3rd term, which will begin next January.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, you said hired as a deputy district attorney.
Right.
So all those positions are employment until you run for the office of district attorney?
You're, yes, in the district attorney's office, you're an employee or line deputy, but you, over a period of time, in my case, I went up in the chain of command of the office prior to becoming district attorney.
So those are promotions?
They were.
Okay.
They were.
And why Ventura County?
Well, I'm a surfer by background, and I have family. My family goes way back in the county of Ventura, and so this was a place actually that both my wife and I had a lot of contacts with, and it was just an ideal place for us to come to after law school and to settle and to raise our family.
That's one of the things, and of course KDTV, even though we talk about things that concern people globally, we focus on Ventura County specifically, and we find this to be the hidden jewel. It's like that stop in between Los Angeles and Santa Barbara, which a lot of people just keep on going, which is fine with us.
Yes.
But it's become, it's the surfing, it's the agriculture, it's the climate, it's the quality of life.
Right.
We like to refer to it as Mayberry, that, you kind of know, you run into people all the time. Even on the freeway, I'll be driving, and it's like, huh? How are you doing?
You know, we are blessed here in Ventura County. If you compare us to other large urban centers, we're very fortunate. Things still work here. Government still functions very effectively, I think, at all levels, whether you're in the city or the county. And so we're blessed. We have a wonderful climate. We have a wonderful environment, great agriculture community. And so for those of us in law enforcement, even though we're fighting the mean streets of crime and deal with those issues, the residents of Ventura County care deeply about public safety, and they're very supportive of law enforcement. And that makes a direct difference in everything we do, from those who are reporting crime to law enforcement in the first instance, to those individuals who ultimately serve on juries in cases we're prosecuting.
Now, is there a term limit to the office?
There is not, and the reason for that, for example, Mike Bradbury serves 6 terms as district attorney, but the reason for no term limits in a district attorney's or a sheriff's position is, first, we're constitutional officers. Our guidelines are governed by the state of California's Constitution. And secondly, there's a recognition in our law that you want somebody who is not a politician in these positions, because my job is I'm an administrator of justice and I am a law enforcement official. And so the founding fathers of this state recognized that there's a tremendous advantage to having a professional prosecutor who, like me, has come up through the ranks and gotten to that position of the elected district attorney. There's an advantage to that as opposed to being a political appointee or someone who is just viewing the office as a stepping stone to some other position.
And it's nonpartisan.
It is a nonpartisan office, yes.
How often is there a contested election?
Well, I was elected in 2002 in a contested election. The last time there had been a contested election prior to that was 1978 when Mike
Wow.
Bradbury was elected. In both of the last two election cycles, I have not been opposed. And I mean, that's a blessing for me. It's a blessing for my family. But I think it's also a testament, more than anything, to the wonderful people that work in the DA's office and their passion for the job and their commitment to the job.
And when someone hears the word district attorney, I don't know what that conjures up in a lot of people's minds, but can you let our viewers know what it is? I mean, I know you enforce the laws, but you govern or preside over or manage. How does that work?
The district attorney is unlike any other lawyer. Our role is really involves what I consider to be the purest practice of law. My job every day and the job of every deputy district attorney who serves in Ventura County is to do justice first and foremost, and secondly, to protect the public. So we are both an administrator of justice and a law enforcement agency. When we file charges against someone for the commission of a crime, the ethical standards that govern our actions require us to believe that that person is personally responsible for the crime, and to also be convinced that we have evidence that we can introduce in court that would be admissible, that would persuade a jury of their guilt. And we have the highest ethical responsibilities and burdens in the law because, again, we recognize that when someone is charged with a crime, it changes their life for everything, forever. And so the public rightfully expects us to do things for the right reasons.
Now, obviously I would assume that your position has the ultimate say in how things are going to go down. But is there a committee? Is there a consensus? Do you have folks that contribute based on what type of crime you're prosecuting?
It does depend upon the type of crime. For example, we have deputies every day that are reviewing cases for filing. They have the individual authority to make those filing decisions. They don't consult with me on every single filing decisions. But on major cases, a significant murder case or a case that may involve circumstances where we would seek the death penalty, I'll be involved in those discussions. We've also long had a practice where when we take a felony case, one for which someone can go to state prison, through those initial proceedings to hold them to answer so that they're now going to be heading towards trial. Before we file an indictment or an information, we will have a meeting of the most senior members of the office to discuss the crime and to discuss the appropriate charging in that case. And so we do have a screening process involving every felony. And then finally, in those cases where we're deciding whether or not to seek the death penalty, that is my decision, my unilateral decision.
Wow, unilateral.
It's part of the responsibility of this position. But I convene a committee of my most senior members, both management attorneys as well as major crimes, those attorneys that are prosecuting murder cases. I convene that committee and we discuss the case. We invite defense counsel to come in and present to us their views on the case. And then I try to arrive at the right decision in whether or not to seek death.
We have in studio with us Ventura County's District Attorney Greg Totten, and when we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to speak about some of the cases perhaps that have been more challenging than others that have been closed that you can speak with, and then also what the county can look for, and maybe perhaps how you respond to the needs of the county,
Sure.
and or some of the issues that have come about in the county. I know gang injunctions being one of them, DNA, and then when grand juries get involved also in that in regards to
Correct.
your office. Do you want to share some quick contact information?
I think you have our district attorney website up on us, and you can contact the office for any type of inquiry. at our general phone number, which is 805-654-2500.
And we'll take a quick break and be right back. Thank you for watching KDTV.com. I'm Maria Sanchez. We'll return in a moment.
Hi, I'm Audrey Johnson. Be safe, be legal. Handsfree805.com. I am so delightful to be here in the studio of KADYTV.com. We're here to share with you and to educate with you what Handsfree805 is all about. You could send a text. You could read your email. You could make a phone call. Just your voice. Handsfree805.com is the latest, hottest technology that I've experienced a long time, especially coming from South America and being here in America with the latest technology. So please give us a call, 805-754-2063. Be safe, be legal.
Hi, this is Peter Godinez from KDTV.com. I'm here to announce a new show that we're all excited about here called Meet the Boss. Now, this is about all your friends and neighbors who own businesses and being able to support them in their causes and helping them stay healthy. So save this program in your favorites, make sure you spread it out to your friends, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all here in Ventura County.
Welcome back. I'm Maria Sanchez. Thank you so much for watching KDTV.com. We appreciate it. We have in studio with us Ventura County's District Attorney Greg Totten. Greg, thank you again for taking the time to be with us. Because we focus on Ventura County, and oftentimes, I know myself, you know that the system is what it is and that it works, obviously, and that we're happy that you're doing what you're doing, but we don't necessarily know what goes into the day-to-day machinations. And this last segment, Greg was able to share with us a little bit about not only his career, but how he got here and what happened since you've been district attorney. And now I was wondering if we could focus a little bit on specifics in the county. One
Sure.
that comes to mind for me is Oxnard and the Oxnard gang injunctions. And where were you in your career when those things came in? And
I was a district attorney. In fact, that during my first term as district attorney, that was one of the more significant cases that we pursued. And essentially, the problem that led to it is we had a couple of large, open and notorious criminal street gangs, primarily in the area of the city of Oxnard, that were preying upon the community. These gangs were responsible for significant violent crimes, including murders, aggravated assaults, drive-by shootings, robberies, and they were really preying on the residents of the city of Oxnard. And the difficulty that law enforcement had in combating this very significant crime problem is because of the intimidation that gangs bring to a community and the fear they strike in the hearts of the residents. It's very difficult to solve those cases. It was not uncommon for law enforcement to arrive on a crime scene where somebody had just been murdered, and there was, several dozen people surrounding the body, and no one saw a thing. And so when that happens, it really puts law enforcement in a terrible position. Gang injunctions are essentially a civil court order that is punishable by a contempt action, a 6-month sentence, that are designed to give law enforcement an additional tool in the fight against gangs. And essentially what we did is we used that huge volume of crime that these gangs were involved in to go to a superior court judge and say, we need to take a different course of action in dealing with these gangs, and we need to essentially have every single member of that gang subject to a court order that precludes them from associating with other gang members in public, that prevents them from carrying weapons, that prevents them from drinking in public. All of the types of conduct which on their face are not criminal, but we know in law enforcement and gang experts tell us that these types of crimes are the precursors, these types of acts are the precursors to violent gang-related crime. So back in 2003 and 2004, we got those injunctions in place, and since that time, I believe the latest figures that I saw, they've produced about a 40% decline in overall gang-related crime and a 33%, a nearly one-third reduction in violent gang-related crime and assaults in the area that they cover. We have 2 injunctions. One applies to the Colonia Chiques. That is the largest, most violent criminal street gang in the county of Ventura.
And as I understand that, it's been going on like 3 generations?
Yes.
Yes.
It
So
goes back quite a ways.
grandfathers are...
Yes.
Right.
And the other injunction applies to the south side Colonia Chiques. They cover a defined target area, protection area. We call it a safety zone. And so when law enforcement is advised that somebody is violating the injunction, they're able to respond and arrest that individual for a violation of the gang injunction. What that does is it immediately stops that cycle of violence in gang crime, because it takes those people out of the community for perhaps a brief period of time, but it stops the escalation, and that's why it's working so well.
So to paraphrase, and correct me if I'm wrong, an injunction gives you the power to endorse something that might not be illegal for a normal citizen to be doing. And now, did I not understand too that there were curfews as well as attire restrictions?
Yes, because we know when gang members are out late at night, congregating, that's a time, some of the old folks in law enforcement used to say nothing good can happen between 1 and 5 a.m.
Right.
And that is a time that presents some unique obstacles for law enforcement in terms of arresting and apprehending those individuals, but it also is a time when we know a lot of violent crime occurs. So with those curfews, we're able to reduce the crime that's being committed.
And then attire.
Yes, for example, the Colonia Chiques gang favors Dallas Cowboy attire. And while most of us, love to wear sports attire and have teams that we root for, when a gang member wears attire associated with their gang, it is a message to rival gangs. And oftentimes, just the presence of that gang attire can lead to a violent reaction from a rival gang. Similarly, gang members like to use signs that flash various signs, and both of these 2 gangs have sign language that they're able to use with their members and with rivals to tell them who they are. And the use of those kinds of signs in a public place can escalate into a violent crime. And so, similarly, that's another issue that we have addressed in the injunction.
So if law enforcement personnel witnesses that, I can understand, and then it becomes probably he said, or he said, she said. But if the law enforcement isn't there, is it up to the community to say, I saw them do this, or they were wearing that, or I saw that they were out too late?
Yes, and one of the indirect benefits that we've experienced from the injunctions is we have a more engaged community.
I would hope so.
We have people live, and these communities, I would hate for your viewers to think that these communities are just crime-infested, crime-ridden communities. They are not.
Right.
They are working communities that have many law-abiding residents, homeowners, and families living in them who just are trying to pursue the American dream. Mm-hmm. And these gangs are seizing that community and trying to take control of it. And with the gang injunction, we have empowered the community to contact law enforcement and raise the issues. And that's one of the things that's contributing to the success, is we have an engaged and empowered community.
Well, David Keith, who's the public information officer for the Oxnard Police Department, was a guest at my Rotary. I'm the program scheduler
Okay.
and he spoke about the numbers of the crime, and he said, like, would you say, let's go spend a beautiful Saturday in Oxnard, or do you say, let's go to Santa Barbara? And then he was comparing, and it's astounding, really. The numbers are tremendous in terms of not the
Tourist
violence,
and-
right? Yes, but it's a great place to visit. It's a great place to be. It's the largest city in the county. There's the shores from to the city, and the
Right.
history and the culture and the museums, and I mean it goes on and on and on. And a lot of people don't think that because they only have heard the bad things.
Right.
So in terms of Colonia Chiques and the Southside Colonia Chiques, is that what you said?
Yes.
Do you register them?
The way the injunction operates is we are required to serve them with notice that they are subject to it. But literally the injunction, we could serve people who were not born at the time the injunction was originally put in place, years down the road, if the indicia is there. And the indicia to identify someone as subject to the gang injunction requires us to meet a Department of Justice standard. There are a number of criteria. They have to have been involved in criminal behavior or admitted that they are a member of the gang. So it's a pretty rigid criteria that really protects innocent people that are not involved in the gang lifestyle, but it is something we serve them with. And then if, hopefully they decide to head down a different road and get out of the gang lifestyle, we notify them that they're no longer subject to the gang
Really?
injunction. In fact, there's a good story today about a young man who is trying to turn his life around in the Star newspaper.
If we can, because we're going to need to take another break, if we could go into the details of that story when we come back, and then,
Okay.
of course, focus on the rest of the county and what it is that you've been challenged by and some of your successes in that regard.
Okay.
And then maybe what it is that you'd like our viewers to know and how they maybe can get involved. Are you involved with the top 10, is it the most wanted that the county publishes? Is it that weekly or monthly that they do that?
It's done actually by a not-for-profit organization called WeTip.
Yes.
And it's, again, one of those private-public partnerships that gets information out about wanted subjects.
Because I know that they do texting. They have
Right.
anonymous, that sort of thing,
Right.
which is awesome. So we have District Attorney for Ventura County, Greg Totten, in studio. I'm Maria Sanchez. You're watching KDTV.com. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for your time.
In my
Hi, I'm Audrey Johnson. Be safe, be legal. Handsfree805.com. I am so delightful to be here in the studio of KADYTV.com. We're here to share with you and to educate with you what Handsfree 805 is all about. You could send a text. You could read your email. You could make a phone call. Just your voice. Handsfree805.com is the latest, hottest technology that I've experienced a long time, especially coming from South America and being here in America with the latest technology. So please give us a call, 805-754-2063. Be safe, be legal.
Hi, this is Peter Godinez from KDTV.com. I'm here to announce a new show that we're all excited about here called Meet the Boss. Now, this is about all your friends and neighbors who own businesses and being able to support them in their causes and helping them stay healthy. So save this program in your favorites, make sure you spread it out to your friends, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all here in Ventura County.
Welcome back to KDTV.com. I'm Maria Sanchez, your host of The Maria Sanchez Show on KDTV.com. We are about Ventura County, by Ventura County, for Ventura County. And with that in mind, we're so privileged and pleased to have District Attorney Greg Totten, District Attorney of Ventura County, of course. Thank you for visiting with us again. I found the conversation fascinating thus far. And we mentioned during the break that, and prior to, that we were going to speak about a particular gang member who's looking to turn his life around. And rather than get into the specifics of that person's issues, perhaps you can let our viewers know in general, if somebody is watching that they'd like to change their life and they don't know where to go or who to ask, perhaps you could give them the shortcut?
Sure. I think there's an often myth about district attorneys and law enforcement in general that the only thing we want to do is lock people up. And frankly, nothing could be further from the truth. Certainly, our responsibility is to incarcerate people, to pursue incarceration of people who have done wrong, who have hurt others. But from our perspective, there's a tremendous value to intervention and prevention of crime. And when we can take a young person who is starting down that road of a criminal lifestyle or involved in drugs and other misconduct, to be able to take that person and put them into an intervention and prevention program that changes their life is a huge benefit to us, saves all of us resources, saves families lots of heartache, and prevents law enforcement from having to devote resources to those types of offenses. And so there are a number of programs around the county. The city of Oxnard really has been a leader. They have a peacekeepers organization. They have a number of churches that have rallied together. And for information on a lot of those prevention and intervention programs, I would contact the city of Oxnard directly and speak to somebody in their police department. There are a myriad of programs. Something else we have done is we have a partnership with every single school district in the county. One thing we know is if we can keep kids in school, the likelihood of them becoming involved in criminal conduct themselves or being the victim of criminal conduct dramatically declines. Most state prison inmates have as their first violation of law a truancy action, not attending school. So we have partnered with school districts to identify children that are repeatedly and habitually truant, and we bring the long arm of the law to those kids and to their parents in an effort to get them back in school where they belong. And it's been remarkably successful.
What about anonymity? If somebody makes the call and let's say a family member wants to call because their son, perhaps, or let's say the person themselves wants to call but doesn't want to reveal yet.
Right.
They want to know what to expect. With the caller ID and all of that going on, what is...
Well, first of all, law enforcement, for people who want to give information about a crime privately, law enforcement will do everything they can to protect that person's anonymity in the process. But also there are some organizations such as WeTip that residents can phone into and protect their privacy and confidentiality. So again, that's a public-private partnership that helps us solve crimes.
And I understand from WeTip, and this is from my radio days, so correct me if I'm wrong, if you know, that even when there's a reward involved, they will still protect the anonymity.
Correct.
There's some way that they do it with the bank that you can pick it up without identifying.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So
we can't always guarantee that. There are some situations, if a person witnesses a violent crime and they're the only witness to the crime, we will need them to cooperate with law enforcement and cooperate with us in the prosecution of that case. And that's just part of our civic responsibility. And law enforcement is much more sophisticated today in terms of protecting individuals that are involved as witnesses and informants.
And along the lines of witness protection programs and that sort of thing that you see movies about, but we do that right here in Ventura County.
We do that every year that we have. We work directly with the Department of Justice to obtain funds for individuals. In some cases, we will relocate witnesses to other communities, give them new identities.
Wow.
Thankfully, here in Ventura County, that's relatively uncommon, but we are able to provide financial assistance and other assistance to individuals that are cooperating with us. Most typically occurs in gang and other violent-related crime.
Now, what about we've spoken about the criminal aspect, but I'm sure you talk about maybe environmental issues,
Sure.
ethical issues with people, office holders.
Yeah, as in the district attorney's office, our responsibility is not just limited to prosecuting criminal violations. We are the agency that is responsible for oversight of government and government misconduct. If a public agency, for example, a city council or a school board, holds meetings in private, they violate state law. And we have both a regulatory, administrative, and criminal responsibility to notify those boards that the government's business must be done in the light of day when they enact policy and spend public dollars. So that's one of our responsibilities. We also are charged with the duty to investigate crime by politicians and other public officials, whether they're misappropriating tax dollars, not reporting gifts that they might receive, or they're making decisions on behalf of the taxpayer where they have a financial interest and therefore a conflict of interest. We have a duty, a solemn duty, to investigate and, where appropriate, prosecute those cases. And then finally, the district attorney's office also has a civil division. We're charged with the responsibility to protect this beautiful environment that we enjoy here in Ventura County. So when someone dumps hazardous materials into a waterway, into the ocean, into a lake, or some other illegal dumping area, we have the responsibility under both the government code and fish and game law to press either civil violations or in some cases criminal violations. We also protect consumers from businesses that are unscrupulous and taking advantage of consumers. Every time a business cheats or steals a consumer, say an auto repair shop, and I don't mean to just point a finger at them, that replaces parts that don't need to be replaced. They're essentially creating an unfair advantage for themselves in the marketplace with their other competitors. So by prosecuting those cases and holding unscrupulous businesses accountable, not only do we protect the consumer from the violation in the first place, but we also protect the marketplace, the free marketplace, and other competitors of that company. So we have a myriad of responsibilities for businesses. We have a program that's now more than 25 years old where we collect bad checks. If someone writes a bad check to a small business, we will actually provide a service and go out and collect that check at no charge to the business. The bad check writer pays our fees and supports the cost of our system, essentially.
So, do you have friends?
We have a few friends. We have a few friends.
I mean, it's like, whoa! Better not let Greg know what I'm up to. I'm teasing, of course, but because I know you're so involved in the community. I had opportunity to be involved with you not only professionally with my radio career, but when I was a director with the American Red Cross, you were a supporter of that, and I know you're involved with Big Brothers, is it? Or Boys and
I'm
Girls?
very involved with Boy Scouts, Boys and Girls Club, and a number of other City Impact and number of other nonprofit organizations.
Because I mean, you definitely are reaping and sowing, which is.
I'm trying.
Well, that is. I think it seems almost a little bit of a theme that we're so thrilled to be here, that we do what we do, to help put a roof over our head and raise our children and educate and feed them. And then we want to give back too, because we want to help make this place a better place if we can. And I just love that about the county. I mean, I know it sounds Pollyanna, but I think, the city of Bell, for example, they obviously got way out of control and nobody was minding the shop, apparently. And I can't see something like that happening here. Not that we don't have our problems. I mean, we're not perfect by any standard, but I don't think to that extent or on that large of a scale.
Well, our democratic republic really requires an involved community. And when public officials are involved in the community and the nonprofit organization, that makes a difference. And when we have an informed and educated community that's involved, whether it's in the nonprofit arena or just taking an interest, you know, being civically responsible, serving on juries when they're called down to the county government center to serve on a jury. Those kinds of things enrich our community. They enable me to do my job more effectively, and they protect every single resident in our community.
Truth. When I served on jury duty, I was never more proud of our government. Just it's like, wow, this is us in action.
Great.
And again, contact information for the viewers if they would like to know more.
Our phone number at the office is area code 805-654-2500.
And Greg Totten, District Attorney, Ventura County, has been our guest for this segment. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maria Sanchez. You're watching KDTV.com. Thank you so much.